In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NBA games happening on January 21st, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Cleveland Cavaliers versus Charlotte Hornets. Cleveland walks into this one in that awkward space where the record looks solid but not spectacular, sitting at 24-20 and slotted around the middle of the Eastern playoff picture, while Charlotte is chasing from behind at 16-27 and still trying to figure out exactly who they are as a group in real time. You can almost feel the mood swing between the two locker rooms already. Cleveland coming off that rough night where Oklahoma City lit them up, and Charlotte feeling pretty good after handling Denver on the road, which is not exactly an easy place to breathe, let alone win. The books have reacted the same way most fans would. Cleveland tagged as a small road favorite in that annoying zone where you do not need a blowout. You just need the better team to actually behave like the better team for a full 48 minutes. What makes this matchup fun is that it is not just good team versus bad team. It is more like two different worldviews trying to exist on the same floor for a night. Cleveland leans into grown-up half-court basketball, where Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen set the tone. Then guys like DeAndre Hunter and Jalen Tyson add extra length and scoring on the wings so that everything feels longer, tougher, and just a little more annoying if you are on the other side trying to score. The spine of the team is intact, which really matters here, even if the guard room looks like it has been through airport security one too many times, with Darius Garland, Max Strus, and Sam Merrill all out and the depth wings shuttling in and out from the G League. So the Cavaliers are not at full strength on the perimeter, that is true, but the players who actually decide how a road game like this tilts, the guys who control tempo, glass, and crunch time possessions, are available and expected to carry a heavier load. Charlotte, on the other hand, plays like a team that has collectively decided that stress is for the coaching staff, not the players. LaMelo Ball is again the main engine, with Brandon Miller and Con Canupel spacing the floor and firing from deep, Miles Bridges bullying smaller defenders when he catches in his sweet spots, and Moussa Diabate doing the dirty work around the rim, setting brutal screens and cleaning up misses. The Hornets are not exactly healthy either. Mason Plumlee and KJ Simpson are out, and a few young pieces are living that back and forth life between the big club and the G League, while Tidjane Salaün sits in that probable but monitor it zone with his Achilles. And that mix leaves Charlotte with plenty of shooting and energy, but a little less stability, which is pretty on brand for a team that can win by 55 one night and still carry a home losing streak into a game like this. If you look at their recent form, Charlotte has shown how scary their ceiling is. That 55-point demolition of Utah did not happen by accident, but they have also reminded everyone that young, high-variance teams often struggle to land the plane at home, and that shows up in those 4 straight home losses. Cleveland already survived one fireworks show against this group, winning that earlier meeting that turned into a 139-132 track meet, and that experience matters because it shows they can stay composed when Charlotte starts hitting those no-no-no-yes type threes that light up the arena. Mitchell's ability to steady possessions late, paired with the size and rebounding of Mobley and Allen, gives Cleveland a clear path to punish the Hornets on the glass, slow things down when they need to, and still trade punches in the open floor when the game speeds up. So while Charlotte's hot stretches can absolutely scare any ticket on the other side, the Cavaliers have more ways to be the grown-up in the room in the last 6 minutes, and in a spread range that only asks them to win by a couple of good possessions, that edge in execution really starts to matter. As our first pick for this matchup, the Cleveland Cavaliers to cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The total for this game sits in that mid-230s neighborhood, around 236.5. which is the market's polite way of saying both of these teams know where the three-point line is and they are not shy about using it. It is fair because Cleveland has quietly turned into one of the more offense-friendly teams this season, putting up close to 119 to 120 points per night, hitting almost 15 threes a game, and living with the fact that they are also giving up a lot on the other end. That trade-off becomes louder away from home, where opponents are scoring close to 119 points per game against them, which is not exactly the profile of a slow-paced defensive slog where every possession looks like it is being played in mud. Charlotte is basically that attitude reflected back at them in a slightly younger mirror. They score about 116.4 and allow 116.4, which is a very neat way of saying we score a lot, we give up a lot, and we are fine with that. They sit near the top of the league in made threes and three-point percentage. They rebound the ball well enough to create extra shots, and they have no interest in letting a defense get fully set if they can help it. With LaMelo pushing pace, Miller and Knueppel firing with a green light, Bridges attacking downhill, Salian stretching the floor when he is available, and Diabate racing into screens, their default setting leans heavily toward early offense rather than slow, scripted half-court play. Recent results only reinforce that picture instead of contradicting it. Cleveland is coming off a game where Oklahoma City hung 136 on them, and even if you chalk some of that up to a bad night, it still shows how quickly their games can snowball into high-scoring territory when the opponent has shooters and playmakers. Charlotte just put up 110 on Denver while holding the Nuggets to 87, which tells you they can bring energy defensively in stretches, but more importantly, that they can score in a tough environment and will not be intimidated by Cleveland's length or reputation. And when these two matched up earlier, they combined for that wild 139 to 132 result, which looked less like a fluke and more like a natural outcome of how both offenses are built and how both defenses are willing to live with some volatility on the perimeter. Injuries actually push this game toward chaos rather than away from it. With Garland, Strus and Merrill out, Cleveland leans even more into Mitchell-heavy creation and Tyson spacing, which usually means a lot of pull-up jumpers, quick threes, and long rebounds that fuel transition the other way. On the Hornets side, missing Plumlee and Simpson nudges them toward smaller, faster lineups, fewer reasons to slow it down for post touches, and more reasons to let their shooters and athletes do what they do best, run and fire. So when you stack the scoring profiles, the three-point volume, the recent results, and the way these specific injuries reshape rotations, it feels much more like another night where both teams are fighting the scoreboard operator rather than grinding each other into a 98-92 game. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Indiana Pacers versus Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics play host to the Indiana Pacers at TD Garden on Wednesday night. Indiana comes in trying to shake off a rough little stretch with losses to the Pistons and the 76ers and a meeting with the Thunder on deck. They have dropped 3 of their last 4 games, which is the kind of mini skid that can rattle confidence a bit, even if the roster believes it is playing better ball overall. Boston is in a more comfortable groove, although not perfect. They just beat the Hawks, slipped up against the Pistons, and then face the Nets next. Even with that stumble, they have taken 18 of their last 26 games, which is the sort of run that keeps a team feeling like it should control home matchups at the Garden. On the injury front, Indiana is still without Tyrese Halliburton, Obi Toppin, and Benedict Mathurin, so they are not at full strength even if the rotation has settled some. The Celtics have again ruled out Jason Tatum and Josh Minott, so both sides are dealing with key absences, just in different spots and roles. These two teams have already squared off 3 times this season, and Indiana actually holds a 2-1 edge in the series. The most recent clash, on January 12th, was a grind that could have swung either way, with the Pacers eventually sneaking out a 98-96 win. Boston should still be favored here, because at home they are the deeper and more stable group, and their broader form backs that up. Indiana, though, has not totally fallen apart despite the recent record. Their play has steadied over the last couple of weeks, and they look about as healthy and coherent in their rotation as they have at any point this season. There is also the small but important detail that Boston has already lost twice outright this season as a double-digit favorite, which lingers in the background when a spread starts to stretch. On top of that, the underdog has covered in 7 of the last 10 meetings between these two, which makes this current number feel a little too thick for comfort for the home favorite. So while a straight Boston win feels like the most likely outcome, especially in their own building, Indiana has already shown it can hang in this specific matchup. The Pacers know they can compete with this version of the Celtics, and that familiarity often helps the team getting the points. It is reasonable to expect that even if Boston controls the game, Indiana can scrap enough to keep the final margin inside double digits when the dust settles. As our first pick for this matchup, the Indiana Pacers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The scoring profiles tell a slightly different story when you zoom out from the spread and just look at how these teams put points on the board and try to slow the other side. The Indiana Pacers are averaging 110.6 points on 44.2% shooting from the field, while allowing 118.3 points on 48.3% shooting. That combination of modest offensive efficiency and a leaky defense naturally leans toward higher scoring environments, because even when the shots are not falling at an elite clip, their defense tends to give opponents plenty of clean looks. From the perimeter, the Pacers are hitting 34.3% of their threes, which is serviceable, and they are connecting on 77.6% at the free throw line. Those numbers suggest they can keep a scoreboard moving, especially if they get into a rhythm from outside or live at the stripe for stretches. They are also pulling down 42.8 rebounds per game, which gives them a fair chance at second-chance opportunities and a bit of extra volume on both ends. Boston, on the other hand, is putting up 117.2 points per game on 47.3% shooting, while giving up 110.5 points on 45% shooting. That profile looks more balanced, with a stronger offense and a defense that is more capable of getting stops, but it still leaves plenty of room for games to creep into higher totals when the offense clicks. From deep, the Celtics are shooting 37.1%, which is a clear step up, and they are hitting 79% from the free throw line. They also sit at 44.4 rebounds per game, which pairs with that shooting efficiency to create a lot of scoring chances over 48 minutes. When you put those pieces together, you get a matchup where one team has a slightly shaky defense and the other has the kind of shooting that punishes that weakness, while the underdog still scores enough to keep the pace honest. The numbers hint at a game where both sides can find stretches of offense, even with some inconsistency along the way. So the overall scoring environment leans toward a contest that can clear a typical projected total more often than not, as long as neither offense completely stalls for extended stretches. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Brooklyn Nets versus New York Knicks. The Brooklyn Nets head across town to face the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night. It is one of those games where the building itself adds a little extra pressure, even when both teams are trying to work through their own issues. The Nets are coming off losses to the Suns and the Bulls, and they have the Celtics waiting for them next. They have dropped 10 of their last 12 games, which is a rough stretch by any standard, and it wears on a locker room, no matter how much everyone says they are staying the course. The Knicks are not exactly flying either. They have taken losses to the Suns and the Mavericks, with the 76ers on deck. They have lost 9 of their last 11, so both sides are staggering into this one a bit, almost like two tired fighters clinching and trying to find their rhythm again. From an availability standpoint, the Nets are still without Haywood Highsmith, and Day'Ron Sharpe is sitting in that awkward questionable slot that keeps coaches waiting until the last shoot round. The Knicks, by contrast, come in with a full squad, which is rare enough this season that it almost feels like a luxury. Even so, the Nets have been ice cold lately, and the return of Porter Jr. to the lineup has not really moved the needle in terms of overall competitiveness. On the other side, the Knicks have gone cold on both ends of the floor, which is especially frustrating given they are one of the few teams around the league that can actually say they are healthy. Recent history between these two leans strongly toward the Knicks. The Nets have not beaten them since January of 2023, and they are 3-6-1 against the spread in the last 10 meetings. That is the kind of pattern that starts to seep into the back of players' minds, even if nobody says it out loud. The Knicks might be in awful form, but they are fully loaded for this spot, and it really has the feel of a game where they can settle themselves a bit and use the matchup as a reset. There are also some spread trends that tilt away from the Nets when the number gets big. Brooklyn is 5-12 against the spread in its last 17 games as a double-digit underdog, and that is not something you can just shrug off. New York is 2-0 straight up this season against the Nets and has taken those two games by an average of 24.5 points, which is a huge gap at this level. You would not say either team is particularly trustworthy right now, and that is putting it kindly, but the Knicks have already smashed the Nets by double digits twice, and the setting at home makes it easier to believe they can steady the ship with a much-needed win that also covers the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the New York Knicks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The scoring profiles make things a bit more nuanced when you shift from who covers to how this game might actually look on the scoreboard. The Brooklyn Nets are averaging 108.8 points on 44.7% shooting and allowing 113.9 points on 48.5% shooting. That combination shows an offense that is serviceable but not explosive, paired with a defense that gives up efficient looks a little too often. From three-point range, the Nets are hitting 34.3%, and they knock down 78% at the free throw line. Those are respectable, but not exactly numbers that scream shootout on their own. They are grabbing 40.2 rebounds per game, which keeps them in possessions, but does not overwhelm anyone on the glass. When a team is cold like this group has been, those averages can even feel slightly generous compared to the eye test. The Knicks bring a more potent scoring profile, at least on paper. They are averaging 120.5 points on 47.3% shooting and allowing 115 points on 46.6% shooting. They shoot 38.1% from beyond the arc and 80.2% from the free throw line, which is a strong blend of efficiency from distance and at the stripe. They also pull down 46.2 rebounds per game, giving them extra chances and making it easier to stack up points when things are flowing. The twist here is that both teams have gone cold recently, and the Knicks, despite those shiny averages, have slipped on both ends of the floor. When a team that can score like New York starts pressing to fix things, possessions can get a little slower and shots a bit tighter, especially in a building like Madison Square Garden where every miss feels louder. The Nets' issues on offense, combined with their recent form, also point toward stretches where they struggle to keep up, instead of trading baskets all night. So while the raw season numbers suggest both sides can put points on the board, the current rhythm and the way these two are trending make a high-flying total slightly less likely. You can easily picture longer empty trips, choppy stretches, and a game that leans more toward grinding than racing, even if the margin itself gets wide. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Atlanta Hawks versus Memphis Grizzlies. The Atlanta Hawks and Memphis Grizzlies match up on Wednesday at FedEx Forum in NBA action. Atlanta comes in off losses to the Celtics and the Bucks with a date against the Suns on deck, and they have dropped 17 of their last 24 games, which is a pretty harsh slide for a team with this much talent. Memphis has had a choppy run of its own, splitting a pair with the Magic, beating the Nets, and then looking ahead to the Pelicans next. They have lost 6 of their last 10, so it is not exactly smooth sailing on their side either, even if the mood feels a little lighter after that recent win. Atlanta is still without Kristaps Porzingis and Zaccharie Soccer, which keeps them from being truly whole, even though most of their primary pieces are available. On the other side, the Grizzlies have ruled out Zach Edey, Ty Jerome, and Brandon Clark, with Santi Aldama sitting as questionable, so their rotation is not untouched either. The Hawks have been struggling despite being relatively healthy, and there was a sense in their last game that they were a bit unlucky not to get over the top against the Bucks, which almost makes the loss sting more. The Grizzlies have been in a slump as well, but the return of Ja Morant has changed the energy. They look sharp and lively in that big win over the Magic on Sunday, and sometimes one game like that can remind a group what it looks like when everything connects. Honestly, I have been fading the Hawks for a while, and nothing in their recent stretch screams that it is time to change course. Atlanta is 0-4 straight up and against the spread in its last 4 games, and that kind of run reflects both result and market performance, which is a tough combo to ignore. Memphis, by contrast, is coming off one of its better showings in a while and has had a few days to rest, heal up a little, and reset mentally. We are not being asked to lay a big number, and the Grizzlies are on their home floor, where that familiar environment and routine can help a team that is trying to build on a positive outing. They are 7-4 against the spread in their last 11 games as a home favorite, which quietly points to them handling this role reasonably well. You still would not say either side is rock solid right now, but that last performance from Memphis was genuinely encouraging, and if they bring that same level of energy, they are in a good spot to control this matchup and pull away. As our first pick for this matchup, the Memphis Grizzlies to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Atlanta Hawks are averaging 118.4 points on 48% shooting from the field and allowing 118.4 points on 47.5% shooting. That symmetry is almost funny, but it also shows a team that scores well enough while giving nearly everything back on the other end. From beyond the arc, the Hawks are hitting 37.4% of their threes and shooting 77.3% at the free throw line. They are allowing 35.1% shooting from deep and grabbing 42 rebounds per game, which keeps them competitive on the glass but does not exactly overwhelm anyone. Their profile leans toward steady scoring, but not necessarily a constant track meet, especially when the offense hits those familiar cold patches that have popped up during this long, rough stretch. The Memphis Grizzlies are averaging 115.9 points on 45.7% shooting while allowing 116.6 points on 46.4% shooting. They are shooting 35% from three-point range and 80% from the free throw line, which is solid, if not spectacular, and they allow 36.3% from deep. On the boards, they pull down 46.2 rebounds per game, which is a real strength and can slow the game a bit by limiting second-chance looks for opponents while giving their own offense extra possessions in a more controlled way. When you line these profiles up, you get two teams that can certainly score, but also two groups that have been inconsistent lately and are not exactly in peak rhythm. With both sides trying to fix habits, there is a decent chance the tempo settles into something a little more measured, with more half-court possessions and fewer clean transition bursts than the raw averages might suggest. Missed shots, slightly tighter decision-making, and a bit of defensive urgency after recent slumps can all chip away at the total, even if the individual talent is there for points. Put together, the matchup points toward a game where the scoring is steady but not wild, and where a few slower stretches and heavier focus on getting stops can keep the final combined number under a typical projected line. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.